Howdy, everyone. Rob checking in. Excuse me. I just wanted to show. Since last video, I got 4 new records. New records. I didn't look for any used records or been to any thrift stores or anything recently. So I'm just gonna show you the 4 I have to show while they're fresh, and I'll just run through my listening pile. I am always pulling records and just putting them in a pile to listen to them if I haven't heard them in a while or I like it, whatever. So I'm just probably make a short video here, and I'm trying to make more than one every 2 months. So that's what I'll do today. Alright, we'll start off here. I got the new Arctic Monkeys Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Just a little change of pace for the band. Kind of piano based. More down tempo, almost lounge kind of sound going on with this. Still very good. Good band. I always appreciate when a band can take a turn and do something different or a little more experimental, and for them this is definitely that. And shout out to Daddy Sensei Silver. I know we were talking about this a little bit. It's good stuff. I grabbed Les Claypool's Purple Onion. This is with the I think they were called the Flying Frog Brigade. This just says Frog Brigade, but this is 2002. This one of his first solo albums. Besides, not with Primus. I think this is great. I think this is really great. I like just about every song. Favorites: Buzzards of Green Hill, excellent song. That's got Warren Haynes on the slide. Ding Dang is great. Dee's Diner, Up on the Roof. This is good stuff. I grabbed the Strokes' first album, Is This It? It was just a, little hole in my collection. Always gotta have at least one Strokes album, and this is their best one in my humble opinion. Last but not least, another hole in my collection. I do have a few Pearl Jam albums. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3, but I had to get their first one, 10. Grew up on this. It's a staple in the grunge, era. Grew up on this thing. My brother would play it. Even my dad would play it, I think. And, you can't deny this. Excellent. Alright. And, well, this isn't really part of the listing. I'll show it anyways. I can't remember if I showed that, but I just have it out because I don't know where to put it. I might just stick it in the country section, but this is 78. Hank Williams, Howlin' at the Moon. This is my oldest album, I think. Early 50s. Anyways, listening pile here. Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill. Pulled this out, haven't listened to it since I got it. Interesting story with this. This is an original copy. But, this is a cool story. I'm in a thrift store one day, probably 2 years ago, and this plastic is just sitting right on top of the stack. It's Licensed to Ill. I read it. I was sweet. It wasn't trashed. It's in good shape. So I grabbed that. It was $1. I'm thinking, well, I'll take that for $1. I don't care if it doesn't have a cover. I'll find a cover someday. 2 days later, I'm at a thrift store. Not a thrift store, I'm sorry, a garage sale. This is summertime. And someone had this for $1. And I grab it right away. I didn't care if, you know, the record was trash because I already have a nice copy. And it didn't have a record in it. So within, I don't know, 2 days or so, I got the record itself for $1, and then the cover separately for $1 elsewhere. That's a funny story I had. Alrighty, what else are we listening to here? Again, these are ones I just pulled recently. Love Supreme, John Coltrane. I've showed this one before on one of my videos. I got this excellent deal on that. This is an old Impulse label, but that's probably the biggest bang I've ever got for my buck. I think, you know, it was like nothing, $10 or something. It's absolutely beautiful, I'm telling you. And this was at a record store. They did not know what they were doing when they priced this. I do not understand. I mean, this cover is near mint, and the record is gorgeous. I don't know what they were doing with that. So I played that the other day. David Bowie Low. One of my favorite Bowie records. Basically anything he put out in the 70s is worth playing loud. This was a gift from my buddy, and I hadn't played it in a little while, so that's going to go on the turntable soon. I love this. This one's probably going to get put away today, but funny story here, Toto 4. So I had a roommate last year for a little while, and I'd come home all the time, and he's blaring this record, Toto. And I never really listened to it. I knew the hits, Rosanna and Africa, but he played it so often, kind of as a joke, but kind of because he loved it, that it grew on me. And this is probably their most popular record, but my favorite song by Toto, Good For You, excellent song. And so this is sitting here in this pile because he was over recently and we had to put it on. So that's funny. I'm going to put this back today. I think I've had enough for that for a good decade. Get my Toto fill for a decade, I think. Now I have, this is not a listening, I'm not going to listen to this, but I made a note recently. This is my father's copy of Dark Side of the Moon. I inherited his record collection when he passed away. And just recently, I just took it out to look at it, see what version it was. I know it was kind of scratched, that's why I have a better copy. But I noticed this little bag, a little cloth pouch inside the cover that I've never seen before. So I don't know what this is. I'm gonna guess him and his buddies, or my dad probably kept a little bud of weed, or a little nugget of weed in there, and stored it away from his parents in the 70s. I don't know. I have no idea what this is. I will probably never know. But, yeah, that was sitting in the pile there because I haven't put it away yet. Dark Side of the Moon with a little bag for your weed. I don't know. Alright. Let Them Eat Jelly Beans. This, of course, a punk compilation. 80s, early 80s hardcore, West Coast, generally punk bands. I bought this a couple years ago at the recommendation of a very good friend of mine who he has a lot of records, but he doesn't really listen to them anymore. But he's a little older than I am, and so he was kind of a punk guy in the 80s. And he told me, if you ever see anything on Alternative Tentacles label, and he named a few more Homestead records, and he named a few more. But yeah, so the next day I'm flipping through some records, and I found a nice. This is from Italy on Alternative Tentacles. Grabbed it right away. I've seen Vinyl Richie. He loves this kind of stuff. The first side I think is. Yeah, the first side's got like Black Flag, Bad Brains, Dead Kennedys, Circle Jerks. And then the second side is a little more, at least to me, a little more obscure and a little more odd, which I like a lot. So this is excellent. Excellent comp. And it's only available, I think, to this day on vinyl because I think it's Black Flag or someone won't agree. They don't get along with Jello Biafra, so they're not going to let them release that on CD or, unless you download each track individually, you can't. I don't think you can get like even an MP3 version on iTunes or anything. So, all right, I got a J. Geils Band record pulled out here. I'm just kind of going through my stuff and deciding if I want to keep it. Just pulling a few, if I see a record that I'm like, well, I haven't listened to this in a while, or I don't know if I want this. I'm going to keep this. I haven't even listened to it yet, but I'm going to keep it just based on the fact that it's one of the few colored vinyl that I find actually necessary. Not that I don't like colored vinyl, I just think it's kind of been overdone in recent years. But the fact that the album is Bloodshot and J. Geils Band was a party band, especially their earlier stuff, and they have an album called Bloodshot with Red on Red Atlantic label. That alone stays in the for me. That's a keeper. I think it's cool. It's also my father's. I try not to get rid of his records. I might show a couple more here and then wrap it up. James Gang Rides Again. This is not their first. This might be their second or third album. I'm guessing. Not sure. And I'm going to play Hawkwind. You guys know what this looks like, but maybe you don't. But it's got a cool fold out. I'm not going to take it out, but Hawkwind. Play that. And then, I got a couple Genesis albums. I'm not the biggest fan, but Peter Gabriel era Genesis, I got a few here. Selling England by the Pound, Lamb Lays Down on Broadway, and what's this one? Wind and Wuthering. So I'm going to play these and see if I can, I appreciate Genesis. I've never been a huge fan though. I'll show one more. Fingerprints. Kind of punk band from the late 70s. This is their first album. I have a couple by them actually, but I remember this being my favorite by a mile. So I'm going to listen to this again, and I'll probably listen to their other couple I have and see if I deem them all essential. I'm trying to keep my record collection pretty tight. I don't like a bunch of stuff I'm never going to listen to, so this I'll keep, but I did want to listen to it again. But yeah, I just wanted to make a quick video, I just want to make a quick video just to stay on top of it, and yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you soon.